Hi guys, comrades, colleagues, compatriots, defectors, friends, family even. Welcome to this episode of the Comedy Defect Podcast. This is my podcast. My name's Winter Phonander. I'm a comedian. This is episode 37. 37, yes. With a really good friend of mine, Rob Kemp. Rob and I met a few years ago at a really terrible gig that I ran. It was the worst gig I think I've ever been to. And the thing is, I ran it. I was emceeing it. It was a Saturday night. And all of the people in there, I think, at the very back, were all on cocaine and pissed out of their heads. They did not want us there at all. That was the first time I met Rob. But I haven't seen Rob for about 2 years. And it was great to catch up with Rob for the couple of hours I spent with him. And I managed to edit this down to just under an hour and 20. You're really going to enjoy this one. I'm going to give a shout out to Liza Richardson. Thank you for liking every episode we put out. You retweet it, you share it. We really appreciate that. And all those people in the Facebook group, the Comedy Defect Facebook group, who like it and share it there too. I really appreciate it because it tells people where we are and what we're doing. If you want to support this podcast, you can. We're on Patreon. Go to Patreon, type in the Comedy Defect Podcast, and you can donate as much. Or if you want to donate a little, that's fine too. But if you can't donate, that's fine. As I say, just share your favourite episode. Join the Facebook group, retweet the episodes. And those of you that do pay and do contribute, you're paying for the ones that can't. And I appreciate that. Thank you. But I don't want to talk for too much longer now because this is quite a long episode anyway. And I really enjoy talking to Rob. This is episode 37 with Rob Kemp. Enjoy. Rob Kemp, thank you for coming on the Comedy Defect. I know how you're doing. You broke your hand. What happened?
I've said this to a couple of people now. I did it in what I consider to be a fairly rock and roll way. I did it performing. I was doing the second run through of my new show, the Elvis Dead. About 10 minutes in, there was a bit of slapstick, and I fell with the full weight of my body onto my hand. I did. Do you know what? Honestly, I didn't feel it. I didn't. I could tell my finger wasn't right.
Right.
I could tell that my finger was bent and couldn't straighten, and yeah. I could feel a bit of a buzzing. Mm. I couldn't feel it, and I guess that's just adrenaline. I don't know.
Yeah. Just pumped.
Yeah.
Show must go on, man. That's it.
yeah. The people in A&E kept asking me who I'd been fighting. The honest answer's me.
Yeah. My soul. Yeah.
I put it on Facebook. I've seen the X-rays now, and the guy, a medical professional, has said they can't put it right. It's going to be this new angle forever now.
Okay.
I mean, whether my hand sort of straightens out mostly, but the bone's a bit crooked. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so you've been changed completely from this event.
I have been changed irrevocably. Yes, but you know what? I wouldn't change it.
Pain heals, chicks dig scars, and glory lasts.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could have done it walking down the road, tripping over, but
you did it in a rock and roll way, man.
Well, I like to think so. I don't know.
Definitely. No, it is.
It's kind of put the kibosh on me driving anywhere. Apparently, your insurance is invalid.
That's true. Yeah.
And so on. So I'm not housebound by any stretch, but
But you're right-handed, right?
No.
Oh,
I'm lefty.
Damn. Because that could be your coffee hand.
Well, yeah, no. I think it's because it's the third and fourth finger. I can still write.
Yeah.
It's just a bit. There's more angles in my writing at the moment.
Yeah. It's just like more typing, one finger typing now. Yeah.
That was what it was before.
Yeah.
I've never been a typer. I've never been a typer. Although I do now sort of resemble the Total Recall
or Live Long and Prosper.
Oh well, it is a bit more Spock, but I'm thinking I look more like the device from Total Recall.
Get your ass to Mars kind of thing. Awesome.
I could start an alien Mars, a Martian cold fusion water reactor.
Yeah, create some atmosphere.
I'm your man.
Create an atmosphere in the place. So what have you been doing recently? I haven't seen you in a couple of years, man. What have you been up to? Did a podcast?
I did a podcast. Yeah, I've got a podcast which is now kind of dead, but not.
Yeah.
It's gone from being a monthly podcast audio that you get through like iTunes or whatever into what is now a video. Is it still a vodcast, video log, vlog. Well, basically, it's like it's the same format, but we've split it into chunks, and we're doing it like 3 times a month on YouTube, and it's called Left to the Podium, and it's about the 4th best in everything. It's sillier and funnier than that makes it sound.
Yeah. And you basically, so the 4th best of everything, we just riff and like improv the stuff out of it.
It used to be entirely improv, but now what happens is we go away with the questions, the two of us, myself and my mate Dave. We go away, we figure out our own answer to the question. The improv comes in reacting and responding to the other person's answer and explaining why they're wrong or developing their answer or whatever. I mean, like, one of the more recent ones was your 4th choice alternative ending to Cinderella. You know, you can sort of argue that why it wouldn't happen or why it's a bad idea, or, you know, as I say, I think, like I said to you just before we started recording, one of the ones that we're about to release is the 4th most inconvenient aspect of work uniform introducing a mandatory blancmange hat. And actually, if you want to check in the sync for evidence, we did actually do some practical road testing of the question as well, like see what a blancmange hat would actually be like. And because it's video, we can show you. Not good, it turns out.
Oh no, it doesn't work.
No, it's
blancmange.
It is as terrible an idea as it sounds.
Yeah, it doesn't really stay on the head very well either, does it? No. Yeah, it's more of a health and safety.
I made it to the car park. I'll give you that.
Yeah, fair play. Better than a book. At least you can have like a little bit of an impact on it, and yeah, that's it's gonna be difficult. It'd be definitely a slip hazard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been 2 years, so I have written 2 shows.
Wow.
In that time. One of them, as I said before, Elvis Dead, and the other one was Hubris. But it was nominated for Best Poster. Herald Design, Paul Banksy Banks. Initial photograph by Laurie Suarez that was then adapted by indie comics artist, writer called Rachel Smith, who is brilliant. And she is making... I mean, she's making waves. Listen to me talking about, like... no,
wave machine.
No, but she's great. Just lucky for me that Banksy knew her. It's got this beautiful sort of Wile E. Coyote aspect about it.
I love that.
Like it was me standing on the edge of a cliff about to sort of leap off with my wings. That was nominated for Best Poster. Didn't win. Paul Foot won. I don't think I was even close. There was another Paul Banks poster for President of Bonjo.
It was sort of like a Che Guevara-esque sort of with the stars and the
done with the stars. It was sort of very communist. He was peeping out from behind himself. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that was Banksy as well. He was real close. At one point, when you suddenly realise, well, I'm not. Stop asking people to vote for me. Ask them to vote for him. Unfortunately, Paul Foot
stole it at the end.
Stole it. He's got, and that's. I say unfortunately. Fair play.
Their show Hubris. How'd that go?
It's weird. It's because I did it last year at the Leicester Comedy Festival. I came away feeling like it had gone okay. I came away and my friends were being really nice and everything, and I felt like, they're just saying that, and I felt I came away feeling like, you can't do this, you know. And then it turns out there was a member of the awards panel in, and he put me forward for best debut. So then that gave me a bit more confidence, but it also made me think, really? You know, I didn't entirely believe it, and it felt really weird. And then I've done it since, obviously. There was a sort of a turning point for that show, was at the Mac in Birmingham last November. I'd done some rewrites on it. I came away from that thinking, actually myself feeling, this is actually pretty good. You know, I came away feeling I've done all right here. So in that sense, I agree with George Lucas.
Right.
You never stop altering... I mean, I don't agree with him at all. None of this hand shot first nonsense. You know, it's what's he doing? What's he tweaking? You have the face of a man who you're holding. You're either someone who has such strong feelings about the Star Wars trilogy alterations that you need to restrain yourself, or you're feigning interest.
I am not that much of a nerd at Star Wars, to be honest. I am not. I'm not going to lie about it. My nerdom, my nerdom. I guess that's a new word. I think that we'll coin that phrase. I think my nerdom goes to the Walking Dead comic books. I am massively geek out on that, and also Hulk. That's my thing. I love it.
Great. I wouldn't describe it as an Aladdin's cave, flat, but I've got quite a lot of stuff.
Like Indiana Jones, great. Until the one that should not be named, and that was
Temple of Doom.
No, I
I'm joking. No, I'm not.
It was my favourite.
I know what you mean.
I knew all the words to those because I watched them so many times.
Yeah.
And then even start to do the words like in staccato fashion because the tape was running, that badly at the end. And then RoboCop and all that kind of stuff. But I'm a kid of that era. Star Wars. I took it in, but I haven't really seen the new tweaks on it. But I think that they shouldn't really mess about with it. Okay, right now this is an example. Conan the Barbarian, right? Massive Conan fan, right?
Yeah.
Full Recall, amazing. We started with the reference to with a hand, and then that's it. I mean, it's like it's built in. Have you seen the actual full version of Conan the Barbarian? There's a bit in it when Conan is talking to Subutai in the final battle. When he's like, right? They're sitting there, and like they're binding one of the spears or something, and it's one of the worst bit of acting I have ever seen from Arnie, and it is so terrible. It nearly ruined the whole film for me because in the TV edit they cut that out because there's a damn good reason they cut it out because it ruins the whole flow of the film. But in the DVD version, it's still in there. It's terrible.
I wish I'd never seen this.
No, totally. It nearly ruined it.
It's like have you seen the version of The Warriors, which has got all those comic book inserts, and how it's Walter Hill, isn't it? There's all those inserts into the film. Sort of show transitions between shots, and it's got like meanwhile and over in Central Park, and
takes the flow.
It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it at all.
You got to watch it because it's funny now. I can relax now and laugh at it because it's so ridiculous. But one of my favourite opening sequences in any film is probably the bit when they're making the sword, and then the bit in Conan, and the other film is the opening sequence to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That opening sequence is brilliant.
I mean, because that's obviously coming straight from Raiders, 3 years later, but they look at it and you're not expecting that. You've only seen him getting dirty. You see him for 2 minutes dressed like a professor. I seem to recall reading that they either wanted to but never would get the chance to, or kind of just wanted a little bit of a James Bond nod.
Yeah, totally. Doing like dodgy deals with the Japanese, because your background is what? Background in performance art?
Nope.
Origin story. What's your origin story, man?
I get bit by the bug. But on the one hand, it makes perfect sense in hindsight, but it didn't make it. Nobody really would have. No one would believe it. But I'm actually quite shy,
I get that.
In an encounter, unless I'm not going to try and rule a party, I'm never going to come into a room and say, "Hey guys, the fun's here.
I'm right here, guys."
Yeah. And that was very much the case as I was young. I mean, I absorbed joke books. I had innumerable joke books. Do you ever recall there was a series of books? They were really tall and thin. They got about, I think the title was like 1,000 or 100.
I think so. Yeah, I think.
And there was a red one, a yellow one, a blue one, a green one, a brown one.
Yeah.
They came in like the rainbow of colours, and it was almost like, it wasn't like a badge of honour to collect them, but it was like either every Christmas or every sort of event I'd get a new one or something, and I would trawl through them, and it was I loved a joke. And I remember my school teachers, that was one of the things that was always in my reports, Robert has a great sense of humour, and he laughs at jokes that the other students don't understand, or he makes his own jokes from the jokes that he doesn't understand either. Yeah. I don't know. so I feel, at the risk of sounding like me, I feel like I've always had a fairly acute sense of humour. Like I've like a fairly sensitive.
Studied. You did the reading, like
maybe. Yeah. I mean, only like on a childish level. I haven't really studied technique, apart from in the way that we all have at the back of a gig, and we've stared at a guy going, "That's brilliant. How did she do that?"
Yeah, exactly.
What's happening here?
What's the trigger?
So apart from that, I haven't actually studied the mechanics of it. Although having said that, the best advice I ever received was from Ben Briggs.
Yeah, it's great.
And I was really new, and I asked him for advice, and his advice was, "Don't listen to any advice." And I thought. And obviously, at the time, I thought, well, that's no help. But I didn't. I mean, in hindsight, I now sort of realise I know exactly what he means, because the anything that you're bringing to the table is you. Your worldview, your sense of humour, your everything, that's what you're bringing. And so, do study the other people. Yeah. So I don't really like to do the whole advice thing, but there was a guy, a fairly new act at the Roadhouse recently, who fundamentally misunderstood he told an old joke, and if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. You know, it's not a prestigious gig. I'm not knocking the. I love
what
the
you mean.
roadhouse, but it's like a sort of gig where you can come and you can
try new material,
muck around and try things, or try. You know, if what you want from it is to get over your nerves and tell old jokes, fair play, especially if you're honest about it. Don't try and knock the palm off his own. Anyway, so he told this old joke, and I recognised it as an old joke, and I did comment. I said, like, you know, that's an old joke. He went, oh, I know, yeah. And I was like, well, also, by the way, I think it might work a little better if this, because as far as I was concerned, he'd fundamentally misunderstood the dynamics of this particular joke. He was quite a time-sensitive joke. One of those ones where you say the thing and you pause briefly and then carry on. And he had misunderstood this fundamentally. And I don't realise that I know anything technical about comedy, but apparently I do.
How it sounds in your head, you go, no, there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm to a joke. There's a kind of read of a joke as well. You kind of go, oh, there's a beat here. You're missing a beat in here. There's another laugh in that.
Yeah, insofar as, I mean, when it comes down to taking a fucking out or putting a fucking in, does this joke need a fucking?
Yeah. And they need a good fucking, yeah.
And that's and sometimes I don't care what anybody else says, you know, about you don't need swear words. Yeah, often you don't. Sometimes a joke benefits greatly from not having a swear word, but also there's times when that little bit of rhythm, those two extra beats, like you say, the syllable beats of fucking, and it just tips it from one thing to something else,
because it also denotes an emotion as well of how you feel about something.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes there's that much emotion that you don't have a very intelligent or erudite word wouldn't fit. It would be like, well, this is too contrived. You've got to be real with it. Let it go. I mean, unless you're playing the Christian circuit or some other place where you can say that.
Specifically said it, yeah. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, I currently work in a school, and so with secondary school students. So obviously, regardless of my feelings on swearing, there's a policy so that if I hear any swearing, I've got to take them to task over it. And I did hear this one kid recently who really cursing up a blue streak. I think he was rapping, but he was rapping his own rap that he'd made up, and it was very, very, very coarse. I spoke to him about it. I said, look, you know, why are you saying that? And he went, well, you know. And I said, look, don't you realise, and this might even be, is this high robot that I'm about to say? that by saying it too often, you're robbing it of its value. It's a perfectly good word. And yes, do use it, it's not in school. You know, if you don't use it normally and then you use it, your mates are going to go, whoa, I'm into serious about this.
I get it. Now, are you into The Strain, the TV show? Okay.
I know it's Guillermo del Toro? Vampires.
That's right, exactly.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, it is.
No, I've not seen it.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's, you know, it's not like, I can't wait to watch this now, Winter. It's like it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's okay. It's shit. No.
Is that going on the box, is it?
I mean, it is called The Strain after all. With the Strain, there's a bit in it. I can read it. But
Guillermo
del Toro, right?
William Bull.
Him, that guy.
William of the Bull.
Yeah, him, that fella. That's it. Why can't he just make it easier for everyone? God damn it. Brexit means Brexit. There's a bit in it, right, when this old guy who's one of the vampire killers, right, because, you know, the Strain people are, he says, you know, naming things gives them power. By doing, that's the complete reverse of that. I've just realised. And like, you know, it's like
never say. It's like don't say Voldemort.
You think that you're on the right track, and you're totally on. I was totally with it. And I was like, no, this would link to that. Sometimes references don't make any sense, but I went with the reference and I committed fully to it. Rob,
you did, and you should be commended. I'll take that as an example of the exception.
I just want to show the opposite.
You did.
You know, I like to do
edit a line in later with like, it's interesting what you say there, but I can posit an alternative theorem. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the control. I mean, you do the experiment, I do the control. Is what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're saying that
rhythm. We're on about rhythm.
Yeah. What do you teach in school then?
I'm not a teacher.
What are you
doing? I'm the exams officer. I've got this ridiculously sort of serious and important, he says, with the fingers.
Right.
No, in terms of if I don't do my job,
Yeah.
nobody gets any GCSEs.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay. That's pretty important.
So I've got this job and I do have to ensure that these rules are followed, and I do have to wander around giving everyone the dead eye. You know, like you get your face back down into that paper, and if you even so much as look at someone like another person, we're going to have words. I may have to sling you out of this room. And it's, if anybody knew me outside of work, any of these kids saw me, and they'd be like, who is this goon? You know, is this...
Totally.
Because, you know me, I'm quite a silly man.
The taskmaster, you will sit in your place, but you can't let them. You can't show the fear. And like, what? Like, gotta just shake it off when you gotta get home. Like,
because, well, I suppose because it's an act.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Because it's an act, I just stop.
Yeah.
I just stop doing it. But I suppose the benefit of not being a teacher and not...
No marking either as well.
No marking,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I literally walk out the gates and I'm done.
That's brilliant. Best job ever.
No.
No? Do you get paid when you're on the holidays as well?
I'm pro rata. I'm term time pro rata, and you know what? That fact allows me to go to Edinburgh. I'm okay with that. I say it, go to Edinburgh apart from results days when I've got to be back. So this year, in the middle of Edinburgh, I'll be missing 4 days of performing and just to come and do some admin.
Fucking hell. Well, it's a break, innit? You're like, oh, I'm at home now. You should take a picture of yourself having a cup of tea.
Hey, guys.
Hey, look, everyone needs a bit of a break in Edinburgh, but you really are taking that to the extreme.
I am. I'm taking 2 days out. I'm going to be, you know, feet up on the train. No, you must never do that. Someone's got to sit there, mate.
That's it. You're doing Edinburgh this year, then, obviously, with the Elvis Dead.
The plan originally, my plan was, because I was going to take Hubris last year, and I didn't in the end. I just did it here and there. My plan was to have a show in hand. I was going to take Hubris this year, refine Elvis Dead over that year, and then take that next year. And in the meantime, I've written something else. He says, fingers crossed. You know, and just
keep the momentum going.
So that there's always something that's fairly polished on the table, and it's like keeps you ticking over.
Because I'm writing my first hour at the moment. And the first one was probably the hardest one, right? I get this out of my system. I want to see if I've got more than one in me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what I did differently. Actually, how it happened was Russ Mulligan.
Is he doing comedy still?
I think he's kind of just taking a breather. He hasn't stopped doing it. He's pulled his bandmates back together because he was in a band and he was doing all right. They're nearly, they
got a deal.
Yeah, they nearly got places. This is how, like, I'm talking. See how close those fingers are.
Yeah.
And he got some mates back together to just do some recording, and they've been putting these ideas together. And so he's a renaissance. He's trying to be a renaissance man, or he's a renaissance man. He's just pushing creativity.
Like what we said earlier, like you're just trying to find every creative strain and follow it. Yeah,
because I figure if you're not, I'm not trying to say that working and hanging out and drinking and laughing with your mates isn't enough, but isn't it nice to think that you've pulled everything that you are together and pushed it out as something, be it a painting or a novel or whatever. So anyway, he's got a video sketch channel as well. I think he's doing that on YouTube, or at least parts. He's doing, it's sort of like bits and bobs. You know, he's doing that. So we're going back to
your show.
Yeah. And Russ Mulligan and Graham Milton were going to do sort of a 3-hand evening and do like half an hour each was the idea. I don't know particularly why or where it came from, but Graham just pitched it as Kemp, Milton, Mulligan, Hubris. I decided that I wanted to write to the theme of Hubris rather than just saying, here's my stuff, this is what it's called. So I decided to try, and it just so happened that an idea came to me, and I worked around that. So I ended up having a 35-40 minute show that was thematically about Hubris. So, and it was a PowerPoint thing, and it was more of a lecture than it was a stand-up of my old bits. Yeah. So I developed that more, and it ended up as more like an hour. To the point where I actually had to cut stuff out to get it under the hour, which was nice, which is really, really nice. Originally, the actual challenge was just writing to a theme. Can I do this? And I wasn't even trying to write an hour, and it just so happened that it expanded beyond the initial brief. And then this new show, The Elvis Dead, was the result of a silly conversation I had with Ian Hall and Leanne Mackay a while back, and that was just percolating away for a while. I wasn't really working on it. It was just a thing that I wanted to do. And then certain things changed that put a deadline on it. And I don't just mean submitting my details to a festival. I mean...
What changed?
Well, what happened was, I was going to do it last year, and because of how I changed Hubris, I was going to do them at the same time, and I ended up doing Hubris but pulling Elvis Dead. And Dave McGuckin of Jokes on Us, he's moving to Canada tomorrow. Details correct as of the date of the recording.
28th of the 2nd.
Yeah, he's going tomorrow.
Wow.
I kind of felt an obligation to perform it
For him
before he leaves, which sounds really dumb. Like that,
it's your mate though, right?
He's my mate,
Yeah.
and it was, but it was kind of like I promised him, and then I promised him that I'd do it this year, and then he's definitely going, and it was like, well, I can't let him down.
Yeah.
Which is a weird morality system.
Hey, look, it got you to write it, man. That's great as well. I mean, but then you got to see it. The first show went well after you tweaked it. That's what I'm sure it went well otherwise, but you're so, it's never going to be finished, but you always like want to fix it. Those tweaks you made you like, yeah, I can do this. So then you did the second show, you're like, you had that extra, that sort of momentum of after that first show. Like, hey, I wrote more than I needed for the first hour. So the second hour, okay, I just need to continue doing that. I heard that you were an Elvis impersonator. Is that right? That's right. Isn't it? That's right. It's right, isn't it?
It's not. You mean in life?
In life, yeah. I mean,
No.
Is it just in general you're doing an Elvis impression?
I'm sure there's music that you like because your dad liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so prior to his death, I liked some stuff, but then obviously after he died...
Oh, sorry, your old man died recently, was it?
Oh, no, he died sort of 12 years ago.
Right.
Nearly 13 years ago. And so I got into more of that stuff, kind of, in honour of...
I get you, man, totally. Like my dad died, like, this starts a dad die story now, but like, when my dad died, like, in March, it'll be 11 years. Get it, Pink Floyd was my one. But like, yeah, you feel like you honour him by reading the books, looking at the music.
Oh, this drove me mad. There was a year or maybe a little bit longer than that, just before he died. He really liked his Hammer horror, and he liked all that sort of stuff. He'd been bought a hardback Christopher Lee autobiography, and it sat on the shelf unread. He twisted the knife every time I saw it. So I read it, and that guy's fascinating, by the way. that guy led an amazing life.
No, but I totally get that. That song's in it. I don't know. Read the books your father read, whatever it is. Like, I don't know what song that is. I think it's.
Read the books your father read.
No.
Oh my. No, I don't think so.
No.
Is it Desiree?
Oh no, it's Desiree.
Is that less cool? Is that less cool?
Cut the podcast. I'm going to smash this podcast now. But it's like,
I think Desiree will be very happy.
she will. Can't wait to listen to this.
Tag her in this.
But like,
it's a good song.
It's true though. It's common truths, isn't it? Though.
Yeah.
But it's like that thing as well. I mean, yours was the Christopher Lee book, right?
Yeah.
Mine was the Guinness Encyclopedia.
Oh wow, that's a specific. That's that's a doorstop, or is that the height of it?
That is the height of it.
Is it a pocket volume?
It's 723 pages.
Well, I mean, Christopher Lee lived for like 90 years. All right, mate.
It's not a competition. But like, I know what you mean though. Because like, you're determined, aren't you, to get through it? Yeah.
You want to know? I mean, I to be quite honest, I found it fascinating. Yeah. I really enjoy reading it.
Yeah. But you're saying about your
I mean, there's some stuff that you listen to more than others. So it sort of sank in anyway. Yeah. Elvis, Johnny Cash, Everly Brothers, Roy Orbison. Jimmy Cochran, what's his name? Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Cochran.
Yeah.
Oh, I listened to him loads. No. So there's all these artists, and there were ones that I'd already sort of listened to just naturally through him and through interest, and then there's other ones that I then grasped onto just as an attempt to know him better. And it successfully brought him back, so that was totally worth it. No, I mean, obviously, it's enriched me in certain ways, and
But not where you come from, innit? You're absorbing all these influences, and they trigger memories, of course, of like your old man or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. the ridiculous thing, and I'm sure you've got similar, the year or 2-3 years after he died, it was almost like they took a list of all of his favourite films and decided to remake them or release the final version of something. Or it's like, whether they were good or bad or better or worth merit is irrelevant. It's the fact that he always loved like Harryhausen and Willis O'Brien, the stop motion guys. So like the whole King Kong. So King Kong came out, the Peter Jackson one, and there was the final. He never got to see the end of the Lord of the Rings. So, and I know I don't know how interesting that is, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, leaving a thing hanging, a hanging thread, a sort of this is a thing that he, never got to the end of. That upset me, and I was blubbing through both of those. I blubbed, believe it or not, I blubbed through War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg one. Even though it's not a sad film, if anything, it's unnecessarily happy. Just because there were films that were, even though I know full well that he'd have been sat in that cinema with me going, not as good as the first one.
Totally.
So this is, what have they done? This is rubbish. Compared to the original. Yeah. And I know he would have, but it's that thing. It's the thing that reminds you of that person.
You want to judge that film on the shitness it is with your old man. You go, look, Dad, you should have seen this. It was shit. The remake was shit.
Yeah.
Like,
or even unnecessarily defend it. Yeah. Just because it's like, you just hate modern films. Totally. You're old man. You're stuck in your day. I secretly agree with you.
Yeah, totally. That's it. Well, film. Did I have some film like that as well? True Grit was one of the things that.
They remade that as well. Yeah, that was 2010, wasn't it?
It was fucking awful as well. The remake was terrible. John Wayne wasn't in it. No way. Like
John Wayne wasn't.
He's dead.
That would have been a feat. That would have been. Hey, okay. Yeah. While we're talking films, oh no, I'm asking the wrong person here because you've already said you're not really fussed about Star Wars. I was going to say,
okay, well, which one? Which one? Rogue One. I haven't seen Rogue One yet.
That was my question.
No, I haven't seen it.
Basically, all I was going to say was because you were just saying about John Wayne's not in it. Well, of course he wasn't. But in Rogue One, Peter Cushing's been dead for 20 years, nearly 30 years, and they kind of brought him back to life. And some people didn't like it. I mean, I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was really impressive and amazing, and it just shows you. I mean, I don't like the idea of movies being populated by dead people marionettes.
Totally, give it to someone who's alive. They need the money. And it's like, I'm sure it's a hell of a lot cheaper.
Shoes on my children.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's a hell of a lot cheaper for them to make the film with Peter Cushing, who's dead now. Oh well, they just pay.
I very much doubt it. I doubt it this time. In future, do you know the worst thing about this sort of development of technology is the fact that right now it's mega expensive and only like crazy super movie mogul multi-billionaires can afford to do it. In the future, when the technology trickles down, you just know that, like, The Asylum, those guys who make those terrible video game movies, Sharknado, they've got green screen now. I mean, for heaven's sake, back in the day, we're like, oh my God, we're using green screen. So this technology, I mean, I'm sure there are low-budget, crappy sort of Birdemic or something that's got bullet time in it. I mean, remember when that was like an amazing thing? So there will come a point where they'll be putting that some hack, dreadful movie maker will be putting a dead Al Pacino. I'm not wishing death on Al Pacino.
No, I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Al Pacino in his Michael Corleone days, just putting him in there because they can, because they bought Adobe After Effects 37.
It's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be terrible.
And they won't have to pay any of the royalties because they'll have it under a certain amount of time or something. They'll just check. They'll put the mole on the other side or something.
Yeah, they'll change one's mind. It's not. That's not Al Pacino. That's Pal Machino.
Exactly. That's it. All this
he
shit.
Looks a bit like him. He's a mirror. Or I'll just flip the image so that he's like a slightly different guy.
Yeah, the eyebrow will be on the other side as well.
That's another weird thing I've noticed using a bit of a left at the traffic lights here. Selfies and like taking photos of yourself. You think you see the photo that you're taking, but you don't, do you?
No.
So you think you know what you look like because you're raising your eyebrow, you're doing your best Roger Moore, and then you realise that you're not. You're like some sort of mirror demon version of yourself that doesn't really look like the version you know.
Trying to fool everyone. Yeah, it's kind of weird, that thing. It's like, look, this is me now, but it's not really now. It's gone. It's like the Spaceballs thing, isn't it? This is me now.
When is this? This is now.
It's like you just missed it. That's the sort of thing, isn't it? Your show, the Elvis Dead, right? Yeah. Let's go to this. I know you didn't want to talk about it too much, right? But it's all because I know how you feel about it, right? Because you're like, okay, look, people are saying it went well.
It did go well,
and you're happy with it.
I'm very happy with it.
Right.
I mean, up until the first performance of it, I wasn't unhappy with it, but I thought I was worried that it was too niche. In fact, I did a gig a couple of months prior to this. There was a comedian there who asked me what was going on, and I told him the idea for the show, and he said, "Well, that's just one joke, isn't it?" I mean, he wasn't being a dick. Mm-hmm. He was just like, he was trying to understand, and he said, "Well, that's just one joke, isn't it?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess so." I've got to be objective at this, and you've got to look at it and go, "Well, he's right," insofar as if somebody isn't on board with this is kind of why, because people were saying to me, "Come and do 10 minutes of the Elvis Dead at our night," and I was terrified to do that for a couple of reasons. The main reason being, I was worried that if somebody saw 10 minutes of it, they wouldn't feel the need to see any more.
Sure.
You know, they go, "Oh, I get what this is. I don't need to see an hour of that." And I was terrified of that. I was terrified of the whole idea that this is one joke, and that could be gathered and see you later. So that's why I hadn't taken it anywhere. And so then again, the first performance on the 12th of Feb, it was literally a kind of trial by fire, because I hadn't performed it anywhere. I hadn't done it anywhere. The fact that it went well, I mean, that blew my mind. To see people that you know laughing at a thing that you thought was funny, but you also thought, I don't know if this is funny to anybody other than me. If you drill an idea down, because there's as much as sense of humour is fairly universal, there's bound to be something that's very specific to Winterphone, and that it's like, you find it funny, but everyone else will go, "What? Really?" And I was...
You're just blown away by the fact that the reaction of people to your show.
Yeah. I mean, like,
that's good,
because people have actually described it as the most Rob Kemp thing ever. Yeah, a mate of mine said that is the most Rob Kemp idea I've ever heard. You know, and that, again, like I say, so somebody says that to you, and you go, "Oh, fuck. Is this going to appeal to anyone?"
Well, you have it, as we talked about when we have a piece of material, and you're like, you click onto it, I know there's something funny in here.
Yeah.
To me, it's something funny, but I don't know if I can share it with everyone else. And when it gets taken, you know that they will find it amusing when they really go with it, and someone comes up and goes, "Oh, I really like that bit." You don't know how to take that, and how to process that. Is it the fact that, like, you're toiling for it, because you toil for a long time, because you just get so used to going, yeah, okay, I'm holding my own, or I'm doing okay, and then when something goes well, it's hard to deal with.
Well,
because you think it's going to disappear. I just need to absorb it in how many shows.
I've only done it twice.
You had full room each time.
No, the first one was 30 people. I don't know, maybe slightly more. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it was plenty. There was enough people there to give it a good vibe, and the people who were there enjoyed it to the point where someone said, "Hey, that needs to be shown again." And then obviously we loved Dev winning the Pun Championship. So I mean, the whole Second Chance Sunday that Alex and Dave put on was wonderful. I mean, but the second time, it was full.
It's really blown up, like, on social media about the thing. I mean, like, all that stuff is completely ephemeral. It's not
transient,
real.
totally transient.
You're right, and you're just trying to keep the feet on the ground because it's gone well.
Yeah,
and that's it at the moment. And so you're just pleased with how it went for now. Are you going to tour the show more?
I wanted a show in hand,
right?
And what I was going to do was I was going to take Hubris this year and then take Elvis Dead next year. But with the shows going as well as they did, the performance at the Mac that I was on about in November of Hubris, my girlfriend, she came to that. She'd never seen me perform, so there was some weird pressure on that night.
Yeah.
After that performance of Hubris, she said, "You're taking that to Edinburgh."
Great.
And I was like, okay. And I felt good about it. And then she was there at the first performance of Elvis Dead, and she said, "Forget Hubris, you're taking that to Edinburgh." And I was like, so my initial plan of doing it that way and having a show in hand has kind of gone out the window, because people have embraced this new thing. And so on the one hand, that's great. It's also frightening. The thing that I've said to a couple of people, what I'm worried about with people praising it, is that it's going to have that sort of Dark Knight sort of effect, where some people will go and see it and they'll go, "Well, it was all right. I'm not sure if it was worth it." I mean, what I've said is I'm worried that they're going to go expecting the Dark Knight and they're going to get Batman Forever.
Yeah.
That's my concern. That
totally.
I know you can't get people in without a certain amount of buzz, but yeah. So it's just that whole.
Don't hype it to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Come see the show.
If
Elvis Dead.
you get a chance, come see it. Very luckily for me, and I say look, it was actually, you know what? Nothing to do with luck. It's thank you very much to Jason Neal. Jason Neal talked Bob Slayer into coming to see the show, and so I'm now talking to Bob about the show. I mean, I'm not counting any chickens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
What's
almost anything. Although I do know that I would be possibly an idiot to not try and take it this year. That's all.
Great.
That's all I know.
That's cool. And so, anyway, I'm sorry to feel really awkward about talking about your success of your show, or whatever it's
Anybody that knows me.
No, I know. It's not. But like, okay, let's go back to when was your first gig? Why did you start? What was it that made you start?
We started doing an origin story.
We've got to the end now. We've got that awkward bit out of the way. But flashback.
The end. Am I going to get killed?
I'm just going to take this, just hide this bludgeon.
But the basic instinct, pulling an ice pick.
I like to do the final interview with everybody, just so I'd let you know.
Oh, okay. That's the hook of this podcast.
Yeah. And, did you say hook? Oh, okay.
And they were never seen again. And then I bundled him into the boot of my car.
Let's see. Just say my name 3 times.
Oh, right. I bloody Mary will not. Yeah, so from that kid with all the joke books, I played in a couple of bands, so I've been on stage, and it was usually, I can play the organ. I played with my organ every night during my teenage years.
I'm such a child. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm trying to be a professional. It's really hard. It's hard. So hard.
Play with both hands around my organ, on my organ. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I was a singer in a band for a while.
Were you
Well, actually, initially I was like a sort of backing singer, and that was in like a sort of covers band. And then I was a lead singer in a covers band, and then what happened was my best mate in the whole world was the lead singer and guitarist in a band, an originals band, and well, at the time they were sort of halfway through the transition between we used to be covers and now we're working on our own material, so it was kind of a bit of a hybrid. He needed an operation on his face, basically, and that was going to leave him unable to sing and honour these gigs that were already booked in. And on account of these other gigs that I'd done, they said, do you want to fill in whilst Ben can't sing? And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, man, I'll help you out. After the first couple of gigs, it was like, do you want to stay? And that was not knocking him. It was just, he was one of the first to say it, actually. He was like, I'm more of a guitarist, you're more of a singer.
Great.
Do you want this job? He says, because it wasn't a job, it was some of the most fun I've ever had. Yes, I do. So we did that. I did that for ages. Weird thing, it never occurred to me that I was someone who would be in a band. It was like, in the same way, I sound like such a naive country mouse. Up to a certain age, I was at senior school before I realised I'm a person who is allowed to go to gigs. That's the thing for other people to go do, wealthy people to go to gigs. And I'm not realising that there's bands playing at the Civic Hall for £6 and £8, you can go and see these things. Yeah, so I was in bands for a bit, and then
what was the name of the band?
I was in 4 different bands.
Right.
Eventually. I mean, there was forgetting the covers bands. I was in a band called Rise. That is probably the band that's closest to my heart, because that was the one that I was in the longest, and it was the band that was with, like, as I said, my best mate. And the thing about bands is you do get that last gang in town sort of mentality, and you end up. It's just like you bond in the van.
Yeah, the journeys, the long car rides,
and the late night rehearsals, pizza and beer into the night. End up sleeping on the rehearsal room floor, and you just have experiences, and it was wonderful. So that one, there's a band that I joined because the singer, he had substance issues. Right. He had to go deal with that. This band, Nowhere Near the Garden, had a couple of decent sized gigs to. This all feels very intertwined, because it was around the time of my dad dying.
Right. Yeah.
And that was around the time that I played Glastonbury with that band. It was the smallest stage, and it was early in the morning, but it was still, as far as I'm concerned, I played Glastonbury, which is that was them. There was a sort of industrial blues, which if that makes any sense. A sort of a blue, because the guitarist in Missing Mile, is what it was called, was really into sort of like Thin Lizzy and Jimi Hendrix and like I said, bluesy stuff. And the drummer, who was the other sort of driving force behind it, I guess, was into industrial music, like your Nine Inch Nails and that sort of thing. So it got this sort of, these two styles crashing, and we didn't do much. We did a few gigs and pushed some demos together, but didn't really get very far. But again, loved it, loved doing that. There was one more band after that called Reason Wrecks Lives, sort of from the ashes of Rise. And after that point, band members find love and go and get married, and
like gets in the way kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that finished in when, and then when did you do your first gig then? So
that kind of came to an end in sort of like 2007, 2008, thereabouts. I'd given up being an electrician. I was an industrial electrician.
Right.
I can say, back to the school guy, the guy at school, quite straight up and down, very sort of skinny, bank manager looking, glasses wearing, side partying guy. And then because I didn't know what I wanted to do myself, I ended up going on this course that my dad was helping run in electrics. So I ended up working on building sites as an electrician, industrial electrician. It filled me out. And I know I'm still a fairly, not thin, but like I'm not fat by a stretch. I ended up like a fairly slim. Sorry, it filled me out, and I became a bit more of a man-shaped. Do you know what? I forget this. I don't know about yourself, but inside your own head, you forget the shadow you cast. I'm a 6'5" man. I'm a fairly imposing shadow, and I forget this. I mean, like I say, going back to the kids at the school, anybody who knows me knows I'm not. Following that electrician, I quit that to focus on the bands. Ended up running out of money because, well, you know, and started working in a school and ended up doing the exams officer stuff and all. And so I was in my office at this school in 2010, 2011. I had a thought, and it was a funny thought. I'd never heard anybody else say it. I mean, up to this point, I'd never even considered doing... I mean, I say never... I'm the boy with all the joke books, so I loved comedy, I loved making people laugh, but I never thought of it in terms of that, because that's what other people do. And that's been my... Not my mantra, but it's been like this delusion, this sort of idea in my head that that's what other people do. That's not your life. And then for some reason, I just thought, this is a funny idea. I've never heard anyone say it. I'm going to write it down, rather than lose it. So I wrote it down. Well, I say wrote it down. I typed it into a Word document and saved it. The Word document was saved in a folder called "So You Think You're a Writer?" You know, that was and so I saved that, and then I just, like I say, over the next however long, I just started adding little bits to it, and to the point where I ended up with pages upon pages of these silly ideas. Some of them were in the form of a joke. Some of them were just a stupid, concept. But I just remember having a feeling of, not really a bucket list thing, but just like a fear that I was going to be an old man and wish that I'd done it. It was just that. That was what got me to call Dave Francis at the Hollybush.
Oh, yeah. And
just say, I hear you've got a comedy night. How do you... Can I play? What do I have to do? You know? And obviously he was open arms, as he always was and is. And I went and watched the week before I was supposed to be doing it, just to see what it was all about. I didn't know anyone. Sat in the corner with my mini cheddars and my pint of bitter, and just sort of like, just to see what's this all about. And that's it, really.
What date was that?
It was May 2011, I think.
Right.
26th of May. He says, suddenly finding a number out of his head.
What was your first joke?
No, the first joke I ever wrote, or the first joke that I said on stage?
Said on stage.
My name's Rob Kemp, and when I die, I want to confuse people. I want my headstone to read, "Here lies Rob Kemp, struck from above by a falling headstone." Which is, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a nice absurdity to it.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's great.
I've heard people say a bunch of times, you're going to look back on the stuff that you wrote and think, this is terrible, you know. And when it comes to the longer bits that I wrote, I agree. But some of the actual jokes, the short, punchier jokes, I think to myself, oh, that's still pretty good.
Might filter that back in.
Yeah.
Add a little bit more, tweak it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great.
I haven't done all the things that I wanted to do, but like I have tried to challenge my sort of writing insofar as like I've intentionally done some kids comedy.
Oh yeah.
And clean comedy just to go. Can I do this? Can I appeal to an audience?
Oh yeah, totally. Because you got to test the limits of your fear. I mean, that first gig, right? The Hollybush. I mean, the nerves you have that gig. I think like performing for kids is about 20 times that, isn't it? Because you're like, I might damage these kids.
Yeah,
completely.
A swear could slip out.
Exactly. Anything can happen. I might, and I can completely, like at a gig you do a tryout spot for, you can come back the next week. But at a kids club, and you let a F-bomb out, and you really give it a good fucking, that gig.
Kids comedy.
Yeah, you're never
Give
getting
the kids a fucking.
Yeah, you're never. You don't even get 2 years. You don't even get 2 years grace. You were never coming back to that club ever again.
And if they speak to any of the other kids comedy promoters, I'm sure they'll hear about the fact
gone. It's
that's
all
it.
over, isn't it? It's all over. It's real jeopardy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know that, and that is the pressure. And do you do improv as well? Yeah.
I dabbled in improv. There's a group in Birmingham called Box of Frogs, and they meet, I think it's weekly on a Tuesday. And I did go like a handful of times. You know, I mean, it was, half an hour, 40 minutes, which isn't that big a deal, but it commits a chunk of your evening to that, you know.
Definitely.
In the same way as, I said this about gongs, actually. King Gong, for instance, when it's really brutal and they can gong you off as you walk to the microphone. I am not driving to London for 9 seconds, if that, of performance time. No way, mate. I'm not driving, and I'm not driving to. If I lived in Preston or London, I'd do it every week because it wouldn't matter. It would lose all sort of fear, wouldn't it? Because you'd be like, this week I got 5 seconds. Next week I might, because if you live on. They're so close. Why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly.
It's a convenience thing.
Yeah, the improv thing as well. I mean, but like, you're doing that with Dave anyway, aren't you?
Sort of. I mean, it's. I suppose MCing gives you your improv practice, as far as I'm concerned. But there's a guy. He always put himself out as more of an actor than he did an act, comedy act. Do you remember a guy called Ant Hill? Redditch Way. He was amazing at improvising. I've felt, I don't know what a professional improviser might say or whatever. I asked him about it. I said, how do you do it? How do you? And I remember him saying, your life is improvisation. Day to day, you're in a shop. You start a conversation with the cashier. Neither of you got a script. You're making it up.
Yeah.
And do you make them laugh? Sometimes. Well, then you can improvise. Anyone can improvise because, I realised that we detailed every beat of this conversation before we started, and I did digress briefly.
Don't ruin the magic.
Sorry, mate. Edit that bit out.
Edit all that out now.
That's improvisation.
Yeah,
there are very specific sort of
techniques and
that I definitely don't know, but in terms of...
It's like when you're 16 years old, so, I mean, I don't know why I'm going to 16, and you're like talking with your mates, this happened, blah, 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 and you're just riffing with each other, exactly the same thing, and you even have callbacks within that riff of whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you didn't fuck all. You just got up and brushed your teeth this morning. How the fuck are you making that so interesting? But it happens, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. We'll all agree that the most fun you have is, I'm not going to say specifically the pub, but like in the pub with your mates.
Yeah.
You'll end up laughing more than you ever normally do at some ridiculous spun story.
That's it. And then someone do a voice of a stupid impression of well, you did this, and then someone else does something else.
Although I suppose that is a flawed example in that you've got the vested interest and history of those people. And I suppose if you do a regular gig and then you end up with an audience that know you and you can call back on history. But when it comes to a new audience every week or every day, whenever, you can't rely on that.
There's a massive element of truth in that, though, because you're trying to make them your friends first, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going up to a group of people and trying to make them your friends before they dunk your head in the toilet and nick your dinner money.
That's it. You're like, guys, just wait.
Hey, this kid's pretty funny.
Yeah, totally.
Let's not beat him up.
So we would have hurt you and steal your money. We would have actually literally mug you is what we're going to do. That's it. Just a friendly mugging. So the next mission is take the show Elvis Dead up to the Edinburgh Fringe for this year, hopefully with a promoter that you're going to have to be having talks with. And then what else is in the pipeline? Are you writing another show? Because you talk about momentum going, you must have something else, other idea percolating. And you showed me one of your many whiteboards. Look, if you're as paranoid as me, right? If you're as paranoid as me, wish you're not. I move my whiteboard and I put it somewhere, and I to put it against the wall. But I don't even. I'm so paranoid. But that might be me. My whiteboard is right behind me when I'm doing a podcast where I am. So I'm like, these people are looking. I don't know if they're looking at me anymore. Are they looking at?
Are they reading my notes?
Totally.
It's like the end of The Usual Suspects, and they're like, "How did you start comedy?" And they actually just use your ideas in their story, and they're Kaiser Soze.
Exactly. They're stealing. They're
This
stealing my
comedian's
soul.
got a gimpy leg, and not anymore. Look at him walking. I know you were just sort of motioning towards that. One of those is that one there. Yeah. That's a sort of a rock star character.
Cool.
Which is not a show as much as it's I'm gonna, and hopefully fingers crossed, end up with a 10-minute bit.
Right.
So that I can go to a venue and one night do stand up, one night do the character.
Mm-hmm.
It's fingers crossed. I mean, I don't know, it might be terrible. That I've got I do have a script. So that's the poems at the bottom there. I've got a book here. You might like this. A mate of mine bought me this because he thought I'd like it for what it is.
Right, yeah.
But it's a notebook.
Yeah.
It's blank. But it's also...
from
Back to the Future 2.
Yeah,
it's Gray's Sports Almanac. And look at
Great.
it. I say look at it. Do you remember... I think it was your gig. Do you remember your...
I'm sorry about that gig. That was a terrible, terrible gig as well. That was the one in Watford.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Great.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure whether I told you about that, because that's how long I've had this idea. It is kind of a time travel story.
Right.
So that is going to go in here. So I'm going to write that in. Obviously, not until I've nailed it down.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go writing scrappy notes in it.
No, totally get that. This is a.
It's a beauty, isn't it?
You need to take care of that, and you need to treat it with respect, don't you?
You know,
that's it.
Just I know. I realise this is an audio podcast, but we have just said that it's Gray's Sports Almanac, and if you're into Back to the Future, you'll know what that looks like. But also, let's just inside the cover. It's Ooh La La. Biff Tannen covers Ooh La La with the.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, he hasn't watched it recently.
I have watched it.
No, he hasn't watched it recently.
I watched it recently. God damn it!
I didn't realise there would be a test. Oh! I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't follow a theme because this one. I'm not writing a Superman show in that one.
Cool. Okay, no, it's not. I get it. I like that. It's not subject specific.
No, I'm not going to end up having to write specific shows in.
These are my room full of notebooks and all the premises. Everything has.
I've written nothing else because I couldn't think of anything apart from premises.
Yeah.
So I've got that. There's a couple of character things that I want to do, but again, they're not really because I want to write a show as much as I want to give myself an option of what to do. And also, because it kind of, writing within a character, it's restricting, but in some ways liberating, because you realise that's not something this person would say. Or if they do, it fundamentally changes. So
again, it's another string of writing to a theme.
Yeah. Absolutely. So rather than turning up and going, hey, here's some whimsy, or whatever, I quite like the idea of saying, hey, I'm coming to this, and I'm going to be doing this rock star character. I've got this police officer idea and also a headmaster idea. And again, these are ones where I've written bits and I've not fleshed them out, apart from the rock star one. I've sort of fleshed out to an actual script. That is a sorting out the costume stage.
Yeah. Basically what you're doing is you're zeroing in these different characters and different themes and finding the detail which would fit those characters. But at the same time you're following those themes, you're improving your observational skills.
I hope so.
In certain areas, which is great. I mean, which is a lot. There's so many different characters in those. You know, you never know what they could be used for. I mean, you might just do a show of characters the next time. You know, but
maybe.
But it tightens everything else up as well. You can quickly assess a premise way quicker and go, okay, detail, what fits that, done. You've got that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on a slightly different note, I mean, again, not a show that I'm writing. You know Tom Christian, don't you? Long blonde hair. He's got a joke about looking like Meatloaf.
I think I might know him, actually.
Very funny guy. Very funny guy. We were in a comedy choir together. At the practices, at the rehearsals. I mean, we knew each other anyway, but we spoke more at the rehearsals. And we quickly discovered that we bounced off each other really well, to the point where we felt like every conversation we had was turning into a sketch. So one of the things that I hope comes to something in the future will be a sketch show with Tom, because we're not the same by any stretch. I mean, you know, he's got this real sort of sedate delivery, but he's very quick. We seem to have a similar sensibility, but it's just another discipline, and I think it's good to flex, isn't it? It's good to flex those muscles that you're not using. I mean, just want to try all the different things. Why on earth would you not? Why would you not want to test?
Exactly, because you have to. Because stand-up can be very restricting sometimes. I think
sometimes,
you know, you've got to go, right. Well, this is a sketch. It wouldn't fit here. It's too long-winded. I need other people in this. This is not just one person. I can't do all the characters all the time. Where can we see? Is it just straight to the fringe, or?
See, what I did in preparation for Leicester was sort of focus on the show and not really try to book anything else in. So at the moment, I don't have that much lined up. I'm doing something with Tom Young in May in, I think, Northampton. Is that Northampton or is that Leicester? I don't know.
Northampton.
I'm just going to try and squeeze in a whole bunch of previews as much as I can. So I'm on Facebook. I've got a Twitter that I barely use at Robot Kemp. Apparently, there's already a Robert Kemp. I know.
You must kill him.
There's a Canadian DJ called Rob Kemp. There's a guy. This says like, oh, he's been googling himself. I was just curious.
Yeah, of course.
Not that I was looking for stuff about me. I was doing the Dave Gorman thing. Actually,
Totally.
I was doing the Dave Gorman thing. I noticed this is going back a bit. When I owned a Super Nintendo, I owned Super Star Wars. One of the animators on Super Star Wars is a guy called Rob Kemp. There's an airline pilot called Rob Kemp. Well, I've got some Rob Kemp friends on Facebook. One of them's recently got engaged, I think. Oh. So well done, Rob. Yeah. Well done, Rob Kemp.
Damn successful weird. Rob Kemp. But look, you're adding yourself to the list now. Fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I think we've done it. I think we've reached the end of this.
You reckon?
I think so. Well,
I feel like I could carry on going.
Carry on going.
No.
You carry on.
No. You can't do that. You can't. Ask people, you can't ask people where you can see you.
I've got my cup of tea now.
Yeah, I was going to say, but no, I mean, you can't wrap up a podcast and then go...
Well, there's a lot more successful Rob Kemps out there. There's a lot more successful Rob Kemps out there. They're on your Facebook. I'll message them. This month on the Comedy Defect, Canadian DJ, Rob Kemp. Go to the Fringe this year, Canadian DJ, Rob Kemp. No, airline pilot, maybe could get a couple of cheap tickets. You never know. You might get some decent air miles. I wonder if he ever got beyond Super Nintendo 16-bit. You know what I mean? Never know. I should catch up to him. Everything's getting retro now. He used to open up a Super Nintendo kind of pop-up store or something like that. You know, play games. That might work. With cereal. I mean, that works with cereal, doesn't it? Everyone plays games. I set up an old cathode ray tube. Oh, CRT, yeah. CRT. Oh, yeah. Them days. You get really good poke off those things as well if you're not careful, isn't it? Yeah, oh yeah. Electricity. I've set up one of them in my bedroom because, for two reasons. Protection. In case someone breaks it, you can throw it at them. Well, no. In case like in case like a Bond villain comes in and you fight him and he lands on the floor and the TV falls and that would just be a finishing move. Yeah, like screaming it. No, see, television's bad for you. What I'm hoping is that someone comes to burgle me. Yeah. They break in
and they see the CRT and they go, "This guy's got nothing." I mean, that's true. That's true, but it's also,
and you'll be able to catch them easily if they go, "Look, fuck it, I'm here. I'm taking that telly," and then
they're proper heavy.
They're running out. Like, oh no, I could just walk after this guy. He's never going to get away. Look, which guy was it? That guy still carrying the telly down there.
He's not even reached the gate yet. No, basically what it amounts to is I've got a Mega Drive.
Oh, nice.
And I wanted to just play it again. I set it up. I tried running it through a newer television, and they just. It doesn't work. They either don't work or it looks fuzzy or whatever. So I've ended up getting this CRT. I can only find like 3 games. Like I've got Sonic, I've got Sonic 2, Altered Beast, of course. Everyone had Altered Beast.
Amazing.
I know, but so those 3 games, and so I've been looking on eBay, haven't I?
Got loads.
No.
Oh.
I mean they're there, but they're also quite expensive.
Oh, fuck.
Like you say, retro.
It's gone up.
Retro, people love the retro.
Should keep the CRT TVs, man. It's like
I'll come back, but people want to have a terrible picture.
This is it. People don't want to see their life in high definition. They want it just a little bit blurry.
Yeah, they don't want to feel like they can reach out and touch Jenna Coleman.
With the CRTVs as well, you've kind of got like a blurry picture from the is it Mega Drive 16-bit, wasn't it? 16-bit Mega Drive. And then you've got like the terrible picture from the CRTV, and they just sort of marry together so well that kind of it just there's a symbiosis that happens.
Yeah. A congruence,
a
sort of a confluence, a synchronicity, a serendipity.
There is exactly that. It's just like, oh, this is, and it just takes you away rather than it's like completely immersive. I just want it to be there.
Yeah, it's so stark. I feel like someone's looking into my living room, and I'm not happy about that.
Yeah. I want to make a choice of escaping rather than being told, you are fucking escaping now. This is what you are doing. You are in this, like with like Call of Duty. You're in it. You're in it. I'm like, no, I just want to be here, and that's there, and I can dip in and out of that thing and make a choice. Do you want a cup of tea? Yeah, that'd be great. And then I can go back to it rather than, oh my god, it's totally locked in.
You know what? Having said that, and I realised.
Constant option game. Love it.
I realised you were just making a little joke about the immersive nature of games, but I'm sure you'll agree with this. Graphics have never really been that significant. Yeah. Because I remember the first time I played Quake, and even though the graphics by today's standards are quite blocky, I remember running for my life from some sort of beclawed monster just suddenly leaping out of the darkness at me, and I've got no bullets left in my railgun, and I'm running away, and it's like, oh my god, if I get struck again, I'm dead. Yeah. And even though, but in hindsight, you look back at it and go like, that's not realistic at all, but you invested in it.
But you've got but then there's the Resident Evil game as well, which is like, exactly, it's like terrifying. Like, and you're looking back going, really? But it's so atmospheric playing Outbreak 1 at the moment, and I think I've got Outbreak 2 to play as well, but I've no time.
Oh, well, no.
So it's just like, it's like they're there, and I'm like, okay, when I have some time, they are going to be played, but that is the escape. But it's like, because I've got the Xbox 360, not the new one, because otherwise I have to rebuy the games. I'm like, why am I
no time?
Exactly. No time. I know, and I've got Borderlands, the zombie pack as well.
Oh, really?
It's the add-on extra, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to play that. I don't have any time to do it. But it's
Snap,
just there.
snap.
It's like Utopia that you're constantly reaching for. I was like, nearly.
Yeah. But do you know what? This is the. I've thought about this, about the fact that I've got games I want to play, but any time that I'm not trying to do a thing, I'm so guilty about it.
Totally.
It feels like you should be doing something else. You're wasting your time, and you should be trying to do something.
Yeah.
Which is why this broken hand is kind of a godsend, or at least it was the other day when I had a full cast on, and it was like, well, I can't do anything. Yeah. I've got to read all these books, and I can't write anything, surely, and I can't play any games, obviously, because I didn't have the motion in my hand. Why are all these controllers? Why do they need 2 hands? This is just...
Damn my disabilities!
Yeah. Do you know what? That is one of the things that I love most about Christmas Day, is the fact that you are forced to do... Well, I know you could be writing if you want. If you want to spend Christmas Day writing, you can do that. Yeah. It's kind of almost like society gives you a pass for a day to chill out. Yeah. And it's bonkers that that's even the case. But like with the amount of pressure that you put on yourself. I mean, how old are you again? Yeah, no, yeah,
I'm 36.
I'm 38.
I'm 36. I'm 36.
Yeah, I'm 38, right?
Right.
And I'm at that stage now where it kind of feels like you wasted swathes of your time having fun. And so if you are going to pursue this sort of crazy dream of being a creative, you know, then you've got some catching up to do.
Yeah, pursue it like life depends on it.
Because
because I mean, it totally does. But it's like,
but it doesn't.
No, it totally does. Because you've got to put yourself into that. I'm the same. I'm like, I need to fucking do. That's what I do. The podcast, I do the sketches and things. I'm like, and my wife's like, Winter, you need to sleep. So I'm like, I'll sleep when I'm fucking successful, okay? And I don't say fucking because that wouldn't gone down well. But I'll say, but you know, just he's swearing at me again. I gave it a good fucking. That's where I go.
Is that why you've got? He's currently doing the Spock fingers again.
I like to use. It's the rule of three, actually. I'm like, yeah, I gave her a good fucking, and I never actually said that, but you know, then my point got across in the end. But like, that's what it was like. I was like, oh, you know, I said, look, I don't have time to sleep now. I'm like, right, editing shit and creating stuff and reading the stuff that, you know, is important to you, like from wherever source it comes from. It doesn't matter, like from parents, from friends, or from anything that's going to give you some sort of creative inspiration. Like, right, I'm going to eat this shit. And you know yourself, you're so driven about the comedy and the search for it, and you're so hooked into this thing that there's no stopping it. You know that it's never going to end. So you might as well get a head start on yourself rather than just kind of going, all right, I'm just in this, I'm just going to write a joke. No, fuck it, I've got to do it all. And then when you finally got all that knowledge and stuff into your head, that was the swathe of mountain of knowledge, you can kind of go, all right, now I've got the knowledge. There will be bits I need to learn still, but I have most of it here. And now I don't doubt the knowledge that I haven't learned, because it's piecemeal then. Do you know what I mean? Because there's an awful lot to learn, you know yourself, at the beginning. It's like what? This is like trying to fucking build the Great Wall of China, and then going, all right, well, I built like a foot. It will never be finished, but you will get halfway through it and go, well, I've done this before and I know what I'm doing now. And
you've got a rhythm going. You've got a rhythm going. You know, you feel comfortable that you know what you've kind of got the gist of it, and you could. Not that you ever would, because as Ben Briggs said, there's the best advice is never give anyone advice, never take any advice. But you could, if you felt so inclined, tell somebody else how to build a wall. Potentially, you could help them with the wall building, and then maybe you can possibly work with that person on building a different wall.
Yeah.
You know,
and I want my comedy to be seen from space.
But see, that's the thing. Somebody, I forget who it was it Dave? Was it Dave who I did the podcast with, Dave Pitt? He said that Dara O'Brien, whenever he was feeling that he was lacking creativity or whatever, he would go and do a thing, whether it was a parachute jump or he'd go clay pigeon shooting or something. He'd go and experience it. It's that whole comfort zone thing. It's that whole, the second that you take yourself out of your familiarity, how are you meant to have new experiences if you go to work and you come home and you spend every night in? How are you supposed to? It works in a different sense. How are you meant to meet the partner of your dreams if you never go out? If you're striving for this, to change this life of yours, to sort of inspire enthusiasm and look for these crazy adventures, you've got to go and do those things. And I.
Likewise, you got to like with everything. Like you got to put yourself out there. It's like any show. Put yourself out there to be either destroyed or encouraged. You know? It's like that. And so throwing yourself out there is gonna you're the mercy of whatever the fuck happens. You know, but whatever happens to whatever you put out there, you're gonna be like, yeah, well, you know what? Fuck it, I did it. What did you do? You know, and that is and that's you can. And either way, no one can dispute the fact that you took that chance and took that risk, and going outside and doing this other stuff as well. Taking a risk.
Yeah, it's adding to your experience so that you can, you've got a funny story to tell. Hopefully, I mean, there's loads of books up there that I've not read that in my mind are there to enrich me. Some of them are novels. Some of them are autobiographies. Some of them, I mean, I don't particularly need to know about Feng Shui, but if you know about it, you can speak about it.
It's a massive book. You know, it's so it's so in the way. Ironically,
but no, that's exactly it. It's finding it's.
You need to keep learning. That's it. It's what it's about. I mean, because that's the gift of our disease. Or
that's a Gandhi quote, isn't it?
What's that?
Live as if you die tomorrow. Learn as if you'll live forever.
I think we're finished, mate.
It's up to you.
I think we can come see you at the Edinburgh Fringe then, I guess.
Yeah. The show's called The Elvis Dead. It'll be Rob Kemp.
Yeah.
That's my name. Listen to Left of the Podium, please. Yeah. I'll say listen, it's on YouTube now. I'm working on an idea eventually, hopefully, by the time... It won't come out within the next couple of weeks, but Cinema Spin Doctor is a thing that I'm trying to work on, where, well, it's kind of a review show, but not really. So hopefully I'll be able to make that funny too.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube, right?
It will be.
That's
it
great.
will be eventually.
You have guests?
I hadn't considered that, but maybe. But I might need to speak to you about chroma key.
Right, no worries. No worries. Yeah, that's fine. Rob, I look forward to seeing you at the Fringe, man. I can't
cool,
wait
man.
to see
You
there.
going? You going?
I'm going to go this year, do the full run. So I will see you hopefully before, but if not, I'll see you at the Fringe.
See you then, man.
Rob, thanks for doing this,
Give
man.
it up. No.
See you, man.
Take it easy.
And that was episode 37 with a really good friend of mine, very funny guy. He's taking a show to the Edinburgh Fringe in 2017. It is Rob Kemp. And that show is Elvis Dead. Go check it out. Go find him on Twitter. Go follow him on Facebook. Go see him live. It's the best place for you to see him. If you want to follow this podcast, we're on Twitter, and that is at The Comedy Defect. If you want to follow me, it's at winterphonander. But if you want to come see my live stand-up gig dates for my Edinburgh previews, they're on my website, which is winterphonander.com. Details are on there for the venues, where it is, what time, all that kind of stuff. I'm also back reading the Guinness Encyclopedia, and the jokes that I'm taking out of that book are being put up on Twitter, and that is under the heading, The Book Dad Read, and the Twitter handle for that is at Guinness Jokes. So go check out all the jokes I've written from the Guinness Encyclopedia there. I've also started writing some sketches. I've filmed some. They'll be up on my page, which is The Bunkai Bunker, of course. I'm also learning a lot to do with After Effects and Premiere. I'm really hitting the editing hard, which is great. Just more work. But you've got to do these things. You've got to go for it. Why not? As I say, thank you to everyone who shares, likes, retweets, and joins the Facebook group. Shout out to people who are long-time supporters of the podcast. I say Liza Richardson, as I mentioned at the start of the show, thank you for liking and sharing and retweeting your favourite episodes. I really appreciate that. You can support the podcast further by going to Patreon. Just go to Patreon, type in The Comedy Defect Podcast, and where you can donate as much or as little as you want. But those of you that do pay, you're paying for the people that can't. And if you do donate, thank you very much. Those of you that do share, retweet, and like the posts for the Comedy Defect group or the Twitter page, thank you also, because it tells people where we are and what we're doing. But that's it from this episode of the Comedy Defect podcast. That was episode 37 with Rob Kemp. Next week with another great episode, episode 38 with John Pearson.